because I get very frustrated with glazes, and I just wanted a different way to like figure out how to introduce like color. Do you want me to, is this filming or?
Yes.
Okay. And so number one, I had taken an oxides class with this person, and then they had said that they were also going to do this sort of class with mason stains and colorants and stuff. And I thought it was just super helpful and very eye-opening to see, number one, what you could do, like with either just doing like a marbling, near and like other things like that, and also just the array of all the different colors that they have. And also that you can just like even mix them to create like other different colors and stuff like that. So these were some of the ones that I actually did from the class. And typically what I have done whenever I'm like doing like all the mason stain stuff is from the very beginning, like I'll measure out like a certain percentage, kind of like what I was like telling Rose. I will start off with, for example, 100 grams. And from there,
100 grams of what?
Of clay, raw clay. And it's like you can either do like the wet clay or do like the dry bits of clay of B mix and stuff like that. I feel like doing B mix just to get the color is like good to start. And then if you want to mix like it with porcelain and like other things like that to just get a little bit more of like a brighter color, then that's fine. But yeah, just starting off with 100 grams of B mix or whatever clay that you want to use, and then adding in like the actual colorant. So right here it's like, you know, like 50 grams. So I know that you had said like a percentage of 10%, but this is kind of like how I learned it when I was doing that class. So because it's basically we were trying to get from the very, very dark color, which is like, you know, 50 grams of the colorant and then 100 grams of the clay. And then when we have that mix, doing like the test styles of the different variations of the different percentages from there. So
what are these?
So these are
50.
It's okay.
Sorry.
So before we get to there, when we're actually creating the mix, basically once you've measured out all that stuff, you want to like add a little bit of water, and you can either spritz it or just very gently like mix it in. Kind of similar to like all the clay bodies, it's hazardous. So I would probably just do it very gently. Don't go like vigorously like crazy, but like just get it to a point where, you know, it gets like incorporated. And then after that you can like wedge it together, and then eventually, if you want to, make test tiles, which is like what I did. And so this is the actual full-on like 100 grams of B mix together with the 50 grams of whatever colorant it is, the mason stain. And from there, if you go down the line, like, so this is, if you flip them over, you will see kind of the different ratios as they go down. So, and you'll also see it kind of like here as well, where this one is like just the straight up like mix that I had made, and then as I go, I'm introducing or I'm adding a little bit more of like the porcelain color to each of these together with small bits of the like colored clay. So for example, this would be like full on one, and then this one would be like half of like, I guess like porcelain, and then half of the colored clay, and then this would be 3/4 of like porcelain, and then 1/4 of the colored clay. And so that would just be like test styles across.
Oh, so it's like 50%, 25%, 12.5, 6.25, 3.398.
Yeah.
But you're not doing
I did it.
Percentage.
You're
I
not
did
doing
as
it based
grams.
on the mason stain. You're doing it based on the clay you created for the first one.
Yeah.
And why
Yeah.
did they give you a sense of why to do it that way versus starting with 100 grams of clay and doing 25% mason stain as opposed to 50%?
It was such a long time ago that I forget.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I cannot remember off the top of my head.
Probably a lot of it
yeah.
has to do with the sensitivity of your scale. If your scale is not sensitive enough and you're dealing with smaller and smaller amounts of the Mason stain, it's getting less and less consistent.
Yes.
Also, you're only doing
Yeah.
the hazardous step once.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed as I'm doing all this, like I do measure it on here. That like when you get to like even like this is a 1/16. It is very difficult to figure out the actual accurate percentage on here because it's like, is it like a single gram or is it 2 grams? It's like literally, it's so light or it's like so little that it's really difficult to get it like super accurate. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answers your question, but
It does.
yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, did they also say why they showed you the method of adding the Mason stain directly to the clay rather than the mixing with water or slip first before you add it to the clay?
No, I think it's honestly a matter of preference.
Okay.
Like, I feel like they did that in order to reduce the amount of stuff that's like flying up in the air. Like, because they're very, like,
Especially in a class,
I think,
right?
well, so how I learned it was like, you have like the dry Mason stain, and then you add like the bits of the dry B mix, and then you pour in the water, and you create a slurry, and then you put it on plaster. However, that takes an insanely long time. Like, there have been times in class where I'm like, I've had to wait for it to like dry, and I'm like, dude, like, okay, we don't like. It just felt like a really, really long time just for it to dry out and then wedge it, and even then, it's like not totally. It's still really wet, and so I feel like adding the Mason stain to the wet clay, and maybe even like just spritzing it a little bit so it doesn't like dust up will be a little bit better, because then it's like you're not dealing with like this super wet clay body. That's, in my opinion, like the way to go. So also, it's like if you are mixing the dry clay and the Mason stain and adding water like to create the slurry, it does take a lot of effort to like really mix things up super well. I mean, you'll eventually put it on something to like have it dry, but like it won't be totally like integrated like super well. So it involves a lot of like wedging to make sure that everything is like integrated great. So yeah. But yeah, I think in general, it's pretty like, also you will get your hands stained, like we were talking about.
Beautiful. Stains right there in
yeah.
the name.
Look at
It's right
that.
there on the tin.
Yeah, so, but I mean, like I mentioned before, if you take like a shower or whatever, like you'll be fine. It rinses off. It's just powder. So yeah. And then, yeah, usually whenever I create these textiles, I label it just so I know, like later on, and I'm not like trying to figure out in my head, what the hell is that? What did I make last time? But yeah, I mean, after you fire it the first time, everything looks super dull. And then once you get it back, it ends up it look very, very vibrant and stuff like that. And
Does this have clear over it? Yeah.
yeah, it's a very, very, very light clear. I think one thing to note is that obviously some of these will look very, very different. Like I just like talked to you about, where, you know, purples may not look like purple. Like for example, I did amethyst, and it does look kind of purple in powder form, but when it's all completely done and like fired and other things like that, it really looks more navy bluish or like baby bluish, like. So yeah, it's just kind of like a very interesting
It's wild how the
transformation.
clear really pronounces the color. 'Cause when you flip it over, they kind of like the middle three look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I also feel as if, like the porcelain helps a lot to really bring out the brightness in a way. So I did bring like 2 examples of, this is like just made with straight up porcelain, and it's like, you know, super white and vibrant. And then this is like with B mix, and it's still kind of vibrant, but it also just kind of seems a little dull.
So it looks like from that, what you're mostly doing here is creating marbled clay with it,
Yes.
as opposed to like a consistent clay body that's just a whole, one whole color.
Yeah, that's what I've done so far. However, my aim later is to create something with a solid clay body. Because as of right now, I just want to experiment with like creating marbling patterns and just
Yeah.
see how that looks. I am just like trying to look at like, oh, what happens if you super like wedge these two colors together? So it's like if you have like a dark blue and then like porcelain or B-mix or whatever, and you either you integrate it a little bit together, or if you like super wedge it together, what will that look like? I feel like when you're doing the whole wedging thing very intensely, you get very, very light marbling, but it's pretty much one consistent like color.
Yeah.
So, whereas like if you just like smush two clays together, maybe like slice it in half and then stack it again and then throw it on the wheel, you'll get something a little bit more like this. So where things are a little bit more like defined. So,
Right.
and that's kind of aesthetically for me, this is like what I like a little bit more, but you know, everybody has preferences. So, yeah.
Can I ask one more question? So an alternative to creating a whole clay body, right, is creating slip,
Yep.
right, and colored slip and then painting it. I mean, you wouldn't get the same marbling effect. I mean,
Yeah.
you could, but if you wanted a consistent piece that was a color,
Yeah.
you could create slip.
I'm pretty
right?
sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
exactly what that is.
Yeah,
Right.
I should have brought
Yeah.
mine. I'll
How
have
do
to
you
send
make
a
it?
picture.
Yeah, how do you make it?
How do you make slip?
Yeah, that's a good question. How do you make the
Yeah.
colored slip?
It's just you just dry your pieces, and you know it's easier when they're crumbled up, and then you soak them in water, like
Okay.
for 24 hours, and then you blend them with like an immersion blender, and then till it's nice and creamy, and then you add your mason stain to there, and you blend it again, and you get your color.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So just take like a bone dry piece, smash
Yeah.
it, and then and
That's
then
it.
soak it in water for like.
24
Hours,
hours,
and
yeah,
then do-
sometimes
Yeah.
less depending on how much you're
Yeah.
making.
And we
Yeah.
have an immersion blender here for this, right?
We do have an immersion blender. I have like 2 quarts of dried B-mix bits, and then I also just bought the Darvan 7 because that's
Deflocculant.
the deflocculant.
The flock.
And why do we add the deflocculant to help
That's
it?
what made it so
still
smooth
smooth.
when we were in class.
Because then you'll get like
Yeah.
those little like it's like when you're making pancakes and you get
Right.
that dang little ball and you're
Totally.
like, oh. Yeah.
And do we have a recipe for how much deflocculant you put in?
It's so little.
Is that the
Like,
Darvan 7 you bought today?
Yeah,
Is that what that
that's
is?
the
I was like,
Darvan
darn it, I should ask for some too.
So
there's
I was
a
just
few
looking
babies that
at.
there's so much
There's
of
so
it.
much of it.
I was looking at like the the slip over there.
Yeah.
It looks like there is some sort of recipe
So they're
here.
using.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is the only one it said, which is like on the there you go. On like for
This is
blue.
like I think this is
Oh,
Yeah,
not
so it's like
10 ounces of
deflocculated.
stain,
Yeah.
600 grams of the
Versus-
slip, and then,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
stir it together.
Yeah.
right.
So maybe
creamy
Rose, that's
versus-
kind of like
Which is the
I don't
deflocculated
know,
one,
like
that
the
one.
actual
Like this.
ratio that you found online or something like that because
I
this,
don't know where I got
That
that.
seems
that
like in the colors that I
percentage,
like.
But
Yeah.
the
You
one,
can also make
like
colored clay
even
with a
at
slip.
12,
It just like she says, you have to
6
like,
or
really mix it
3,
in.
it's
Right.
still
Wet,
pretty
right.
pigmented.
yeah,
But you could
exactly.
make
So
a thing
I
of colored
think
slip and then add it to clay. that
10
you-
is not going to be the
Yeah.
end of the world,
I have
and that will
some
give us
always.
enough for both of us to try
Of
it.
course, yeah, I think so.
Interesting. I think I need to
Yeah.
jump in and make some myself
Because
a
like,
slip.
yeah, these
It
are
kind of
nice,
intimidates me
but
to
Yeah.
really show
I
that.
don't need it to look like that for my
color,
first
yeah.
time out. If
Yeah,
I
no.
love it,
Yeah,
I can go
we
get
have
more
exactly.
and try again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is nice.
Yeah, and I just made
I
these
liked using it
purely
in
for like
class.
my knowledge, not because it's like I'm
Totally.
dying to make these colors. If anything,
happening? Yeah.
I am gonna be in like this range because I do like vibrant colors, but not to the point where it's like dark. I like things where it's like you can actually see a little bit of like the color. I mean, yeah, even I feel like this is like perfect. But yeah, I feel like you're never really gonna get into like this range because it is like so like dark.
Yeah, and with black, I
yeah.
feel like the black
is so dark.
Yeah.
already more pigmented. So
Yeah.
even like this will be easy math. 10% is
Yeah.
easy math.
Yeah.
10%, yeah, 10% is easy math. But then when you get over here, so you're like, so this was
Yeah.
50%. That was
Yeah.
easy. Then you get over here and you're
Yeah.
like,
Well, and this
Yeah.
also has
6'3".
porcelain in it.
Yeah.
Versus
There's
this
just
one.
there are times
That's
I
also
think,
true.
especially if you're looking here, where it's just like the difference is just so slight.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, did it actually change? And it's just like, yeah, some things you're like, you can see it, and then some things you're like, I can't see anything. So,
Well, and on
So
Mitten
what have you
Clay Co,
used it
they
for?
have mason stain,
What
and
have
she
you-
has
what have
like
you
a
made
little
from
chart
this?
by like if you're
I've
making
made it-
clay, if you're making slip,
that's cool.
like the first, like the amount,
Uh-huh.
and it does change,
little
right? Because like
pieces.
something that's super dark,
Because
you
it
don't
seems like
really
for
need
making
quite as
something
much
big,
as
it's
Yeah.
like-
something that's super pale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the amethyst.
Right.
It gets to this end and you're like,
Is it
Is
is
it
it
a
a color?
Baby blue.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, or even like here, it's like,
I was gonna.
is
forget to
this
show you.
like
Let me
almost
see the share.
Yeah, did I
like
just
B
create
mix?
Maven?
Do I
How
just
much
use B
change?
mix?
Yeah.
Like,
How different is it?
yeah. So
You
Anyway.
glazed the inside of that.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
I don't. Yeah, regarding glazing, I don't know. Like, I did it this way just for aesthetics, but I don't know if like if you don't do the glaze over it, if it's like health hazard or whatever. I would like to think not, but also I don't know.
well, how often are you licking the outside of your cup?
I mean, never.
Maybe.
So,
Salt.
yeah, yeah. So,
Super interesting.
yeah, but if you, yeah, I mean, even though like I just got these straight from like clay people, there, I think for this one, or actually this one, when I took the class, I actually mixed a little bit of red in here, so you can tailor it too.
Different.
Yeah.
So
You
like
just have to be willing to not know what's gonna happen.
exactly, yeah.
And then some of these you're using more than one color, yeah?
Mm-hmm. So this one actually, let's see here. Okay, if we were to describe this whole, the differences here, like, I would probably put it like this, where this is just like pure modeling of like porcelain and then like the mason stain. Super simple, not much variation, as is. And then these are just like the integration of like two colors, and like this is my attempt at like an Irikomi. But it was just like me laying things flat to porcelain, and then just like flattening it out and like trying to make some sort of form. With this one, this is actually, these bands of color are actually leftovers from this, and they had dried out so much that I was like, I have no clue what to do with this. Like, but I want to use them because I love these colors. And at the time, like, I was like, well, they're still, I had tried to wet it as much as possible, but they're still very firm. And so what I did was I carved a coil around like my centered clay. And then I just like shoved it into those little cracks.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's a video online that I saw where that person did that.
There's a dude who does this, right? Who
Yeah.
like takes and he like glums
Yeah,
it together.
yeah,
so that
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him do that too.
Yeah. But the thing that I thought was so interesting about this one was that like, because it was still very dry, it's not as like marbled. It's still kind of like, it looks, I don't know.
I like it though.
Kind of rock-like texture or whatever. It's a little, I don't know. There's something about it that looks interesting. And I like how it's not like totally integrated. And it is, you can see the difference between like the colored clay and then like the B-mix. So, yeah. But I think with all these, definitely had to nurse them because of like the clay bodies that I use. I feel like this one a little bit slightly less, but out of precaution I did it because when I was like working with porcelain, things just freaking crack so easily. And it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, there have been times where I'd like get to the part where I'm like, okay, like I'm almost ready to go, and I'm like create like this beautiful like plate thing, and there's no cracks in it after I take it out of the plastic. And literally by the end of class, it's like there's like a tiny hairline crack. I'm like, what? Like it's frustrating.
Man, porcelain.
Yeah.
porcelain.
So yeah. Anyway,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing all of
Yeah,
this.
no
It's so great.
problem.
It's really great.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I was of help. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm very excited to, I mean, just play around with the colored clay because it's just so different. And I think it's just also because I
That's the
struggle
size
with
of this.
glazing.
Yeah.
Um,
No, you don't have to.
I mean,
Like-
yeah.
The dream.
Yeah, yeah.
The dream for you.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like it's like a nice alternative.
Yeah.
I do
It is expensive getting the actual thing.
Right.
So, but I feel like
And then you, so how
like when I bought all these,
do you need?
they turned out to be $30.
Yeah,
But
but
they're,
if you're not
like,
using them at
pieces
this
would be
really
mixed?
dark
Yeah.
end of the spectrum, right? If you're
Yeah.
using it at like
Yeah.
a 5%,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then it's like it'll last you for a good
Right.
while,
yeah.
and so I feel like
know, my
it's
guess- my guess
a pretty
would be
good
offhand is, like,
investment. So.
2 cups of
Okay.
Thank you for joining my class.
This is on you to marble all the things
If you
now.
want my help now, I can help you. So,
So like,
and then
She's gonna
what
hand you the
do
clay.
is
Yeah.
you-
yeah,
You know, the idea is
yeah, but yeah, I feel like putting it on plastic. No, I mean like because you don't want to get that stuff. You don't like. When I went through the class, I did it on plaster to like make it dry out. But the thing is that like this is not like this is not our own plaster. If it's like it's our own plaster like things, that's like fine, but it belongs to the studio.
She did, Cass did say it was okay for us to dry things on the plaster. She
Okay.
just didn't want it on,
so what would you put, like, is this like a pound of?
wedging table and then the
Yeah.
canvas.
Yeah.
And
So
then we do have canvas on the member shelf that I did like cool colors, warm colors, so like if we needed a wedge or if people wanted to run it through the slab roller.
okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, I think whenever I've done it here, I've tried to use an abundance of caution.
Yeah.
Like because I'm like, this is not,
Yeah, I'm right, that's
if
right.
I
So
own
the
that
next
table,
time I
that's
have a
different,
mess
but
of B-mix,
I
we should
don't.
just make it
Right,
as-
yeah.
So-
You don't want to leave a blue.
exactly.
big
I'm like,
blue
and no
splotch.
one's gonna like, no one's gonna, someone may like a blue tint
goes
to
all
their
over.
V-Mix,
Everything.
but some people really may not, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is odd to me because you didn't wet it after you.
Right, I know. but
And then
it's-
yeah, with B-Mix, it would just end up in Magic Mix if
I
we were
wanted to take a
reclaiming.
picture
Yeah,
of the.
yeah.
Did I take a picture? I did, and then I want to write on